Hey there everybody, Matt O'Ree here. Nice to be here with you today. Welcome to my YouTube channel called Mob on TV, or MOB on TV. It stands for Matt O'Ree Band. For those of you who don't know me, in 2006 I was fortunate enough to get involved in the guitar player competition through Guitar Center called the King of the Blues. There were over 4,000 applicants and I was the grand prize winner of the entire event. An amazing experience, something I'll never forget. Thank you, Guitar Center, once again for all you've done for me. Then just last year, I was really fortunate to get a chance to tour and perform with Bon Jovi in his Southeast Asia tour. An unbelievable experience to get a chance to play stadiums and arenas. I can't thank John enough and David Bryan enough for getting me involved in it, and I really look forward to someday doing it again with you.
Day job's not who I am.
So what I'm doing here today is the start of a series of videos, something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I just didn't have the time to get around to it. And so far I've scripted over 20 different episodes of comparing and contrasting all of the equipment that I've amassed over the last 25 years of being a professional musician. From guitars to amplifiers to speaker cabinets to speakers to cables to tubes to pedals, you name it, everything that I own, I'm going to share it with you right here on my YouTube channel. At any point during these videos, if you guys have any suggestions or comments or thoughts, or maybe you want to hear a piece of equipment that I didn't necessarily hook up to something else that you liked in the video, just go straight to my website, mattoreeband.com. You'll find my email address. I would love to hear from you guys. It'll be much faster for me to respond to you through my website. Also on my website, you're going to find my brand new record called Brotherhood. And I got a copy right here. And on this record, you're going to hear all of the equipment that you're seeing in these videos was used on this record. I was so fortunate to have some guest stars play on the record with me. David Bryan from Bon Jovi sang and played keyboards on a bunch of songs. Steve Cropper from Booker T and the MGs played guitar on one song. And then on the lead single called Black Boots, which you might have heard as the intro song to these videos, Bruce Springsteen sings and plays guitar with me. Right to my website, you'll find this album. I'll be able to sign this and send it to you. You can buy it off the website. You can also get it on iTunes as well. So since these series of videos is all about guitar tones, it's my job here to try to accurately capture the sound of the piece of equipment that I'm demonstrating. Get it across the internet in some compressed YouTube file? Well, that's not really all that easy to do. But I'm going to keep the same bass line in every episode of these videos to be the same by using the same 3 microphones to capture the audio. That being my Royer R121 ribbon microphone, which I absolutely love. Thank you so much to Royer Microphones. My Shure SM57, which has been modified. I took the transformer out of the microphone, which pretty much evens out the frequency response, and I feel captures the sound of my amp a bit better. Then for our room microphone, I'm using an Audio-Technica 4033 to try to capture more of the essence of what it actually feels like to be sitting in the room with some of these amplifiers. All 3 microphones go through my Focusrite 18i8 interface right into Pro Tools with no EQ and no compression at all. The video is being captured by my iPad Pro and my iPhone 6.
Try to remember what happened last night, yeah.
Now for those of you who aren't familiar with Trainwreck amplification, it's pretty easy to Google it. You'll find out tons of information on them. The original maker, his name was Ken Fisher, and he made them out of the basement of his house in Colonia, New Jersey, only about a half hour from where I live. Now these amps are highly sought after and have been used by many professionals on many different hit records. They're really famous for their touch sensitivity and how the amp actually responds to the player's touch of the strings, as well as the changes in your volume knob off your guitar. They're also famous for their clean tones and their chime-like, bell-like overtones that the amp can generate, as well as the overdrive sounds that you get when you crank the amp up. Now these amps are single channel amplifiers, meaning there's no channel switching, there's no reverb, there's no effects loop, there's no master volume. The only way to get the overdrive sounds out of the amp is to crank the amp up, much like that of an old school Marshall. But by also doing that, it brings out all the overtones and the clean sounds when you back off your guitar's volume knob. Now, Ken Fisher made 3 different circuit designs, giving him 3 different model Trainwreck amplifiers. The one that you see here in the video is called the Express. It runs off of a pair of EL34 power tubes and 3 12AX7s, and it puts out about 36 watts. The other 2 models are that of the Liverpool, which is a quad of EL84 power tubes and 3 12AX7s. And finally the Rocket, which is also a quad of EL84 power tubes, 3 12AX7s, and that one has a tube rectifier, a GZ34. Now, all 3 models have a really unique voice to them, and in the hands of the right player, well, the tone possibilities are endless. Since they are handmade and point-to-point wired, no 2 Trainwreck amplifiers sound identical. Although Ken was really amazing at keeping them pretty consistent from amp to amp, and of course, it would never bear the Trainwreck name if Ken didn't feel that the amp lived up to his expectations. So how I got turned on to the Trainwreck sound? Well, it was the early 90s, and a friend of mine brought me down to a rock club in Sayreville, New Jersey, to see a band called BB and the Stingers play. They were a power blues rock trio, much in the style of Jimi Hendrix, and they absolutely blew me away. I'll never forget it. The band consisted of Bill Cherinsky on bass guitar, Bob Butterfield on drums, and on guitar and vocal, Bernie Browsweater. So right after his show, I ran up to Bernie and I thanked him for changing my life forever. And he just turned around with a huge smile and gave me a big hug, and that was it. We just instantly became friends. Of course, we started talking about gear right after that, and he was showing me his pre-CBS slabboard Strat and, of course, his Trainwreck Liverpool named Haiti May. Now, Ken Fisher named all the amps after women instead of serial numbers. He used women's names. And this one was a 1985 Liverpool. Now, at that time, Ken Fisher's health had declined so much that he just physically wasn't able to build amplifiers anymore, which was so disappointing to people like me because I knew exactly what I wanted, but I just couldn't get my hands on one. And then, very sadly, Ken Fisher passed away in 2006. Also very sadly, my friend Bernie Browsweater passed away in 2007. His original Trainwreck Liverpool named Haiti May is now owned by Brad Paisley. Then one day in the fall of 2010, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who happens to be a dear friend of the Ken Fisher family. And he informed me that Trainwreck amps were going to be made again, under the family name, in the family shop. The new builder's name was John Mark, and that I should get together with him and have a listen to these amps. Now, at first I was really reluctant to do so because it wasn't Ken building them, and anything with Ken's name on it had such a high pedigree of tone and performance that how could somebody else get it right, especially with all the clones that are out there, and a lot of them sound wrong. But I can assure you, after getting together with John Mark, I was absolutely blown away. John Mark brought his original 1985 Express, named Prudence, built by Ken for John, to the listening party to compare it to the Express that he built for me. Again, mine's a 2010, and her name is Vivica, and I could not believe how close they were. Again, no 2 Trainwrecks are identical, but you guys be the judge. So let's get right to the playing. We're going to start with my 2001 Gibson Custom Shop Historic 1959 Les Paul that had a makeover from Dave Johnson. I absolutely love this guitar. Thank you, Dave Johnson, for all your brilliant work. Into my George L 255 cable. One end has an unplated brass end. The other end has a Neutrik silent plug. Into my Trainwreck Express, no pedals. Out of the Express, George L speaker cable, switchcraft ends, into my V4 Ampeg early 70s cabinet, loaded with 1968 pre-Rolla greenback 30-watt speakers with the 014 cones. Notice the sparkle and the chime that's in the clean tones, and then the overdrive tones, the singing lead distortion. And when I'm changing from pickup to pickup with a volume change to volume change, that the clean tones are almost as loud as the overdrive tones. Truly an amazing amplifier. Mob on TV is the YouTube channel, and MattoReband.com is the website. Send me some email. Episode 2 is coming right up. That's going to be comparing the two different Expresses that I own that I used on the Bon Jovi tour. And shortly after that, episode number 3 will be comparing those two Expresses to the original 1985 Ken Fisher built Express for John Mark named Prudence. See you soon. Thanks for joining me.